within the confines of the rules, what have you been able to do as far as when you watch the players, coach the players, and what have you thought?
Well, we haven't been able to actually, nothing team-wise. We're just trying to get the guys to work with the trainer, the strength and conditioning, some on court, one on zero, and assess their conditioning, assess their mobility. And then once we get to Orlando, we'll have, before the scrimmages even start, but we'll have about 20 days of practice before we get to the 8 games. So that's where we'll start practice planning, understanding what they need, what they don't need, a little less, a little more. But we'll have time that once we get there, we just want to be very cautious right now of everybody trying to pass these tests to get to Orlando.
Daryl said yesterday that in the Zoom calls that you guys have had with the players, that the one thing that you and he have been able to get from that is that the players are excited that they're on a mission to get this thing done here. Some thoughts about that?
Well, yeah, I think they are. I think they're definitely excited about playing. And, we just put it to them, this is going to be a great experience. It's going to be different. No one else, and hopefully no one ever will have to experience this. So it brings up new challenges. It's not the same old. And we'll see who can react to it. But, if you're competitive and you could do something no one else has ever done, then why not? And besides, the great thing of trying to win a championship and all that. But then in this setting, I think it's going to be interesting, and it'll be fun. The competition will be great.
When you get there, I imagine training camps for you have a plan, and we want to do this on day 1, day 2, day 3. How confident are you that the plan you're going down there with is going to be the plan that you actually get to roll out? Because like you said, 1-0, and you don't really, there's a lot you don't know. Right. Until you actually get there. How important is flexibility, I guess, going to have to be for coaches once you get there and decide what you really, where you can actually start with this team again?
Flexibility is a key word, no doubt. I think the biggest thing is that we know what we want to do for the first couple of days, and that's mostly to assess where they are. So there'll be a lot of 5-on-0, just going over the old concepts, introducing anything new that we want to introduce, and getting everybody there. Then once that happens, and then the trainers give me, well, we can do this or we can do that, we need to push them harder, then we will adapt and have practice. But, all of our coaches, we've been doing it for 10 to 15 years, so we know more or less the format, the players that we have, what we need to cover. It's just going to be a matter of ramping them up so we don't risk injury, ramping them up that we cover all the necessities, but we don't overcoach. And then every day will be an adventure a little bit of, okay, here's where we are today. This practice will reflect this. Tomorrow's practice might be totally different. And that's something that, again, that's what makes it interesting. It makes it fun. But it's a little bit like in training camp every year. It's like, yeah, you lay out all these grand plans. About the third practice, you go, oh, they're out. Unless we got to adjust. So adjustment is part of the NBA game. And that's what we'll do. And our whole mission will be to let's get them physically and mentally ready to go into the playoffs. That's our whole deal.
Like you said, every day is going to be a bit of an adventure. But can you just talk about what you think your biggest challenge is going to be? Because there's so much uncertain. You have the health part that's uncertain. But the way you guys even had to, I don't want to say piece together your workouts because you had to do it kind of separately. Everything's out the window from what's been normal. What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge moving forward?
Well, as always, about 8 or 9 other teams are going to be the biggest challenge. That's always is, and it will be. And I think that, from personal experience or as a player, as a coach, it's going to be a lot of the same stuff. It's just going to be a different environment. You have to handle that, but could be better, could be worse for some guys. You just don't know. To me, it's not a challenge. It's, we did USA basketball. And when you go to other countries for a month and you stay more or less in the middle room, on the practice floor, back to the hotel, to the middle room, to the practice floor, a lot of these players have experienced that. So And I think the excitement about getting back and finishing the season and playing it will carry them through the first couple, 3 weeks, where it could be a little mundane and like, oh gosh, same old, same old. Then we start the games every other day, which will be fun. Then we start the playoffs, which will be every other day. And so in a normal year, in the playoffs, you really want your players to go home, rest, don't listen to the media, don't do anything, come to practice, go to the mill, get good food, go back home and rest, get ready for the next game. So it's going to be a whole lot like that. They're going to be locked down in playoff mode. And there's not going to be that much different other than you'll be by yourself. You want to have your family. And for some players, that'll be tough. But those are, just personal things. Mental health is important. But we have people that will talk, and we're a family ourselves. So we'll all get through this together.
Can you talk a little bit about that piece, the mental health piece, to being able to talk? I mean, do you have to really kind of help manage concerns or fears of players, especially any of your younger players? You do have veterans, but how do you see that moving forward?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the process and part of being a team and having your antennas up of coaches and even, our trainers and different of the staff, if anybody's struggling or needs anything. But, I look at it too in the modern day. I mean, I was over in Italy. There was no cell phones. There was no really computers that we were talking to people. So it was me and a book and about 30 hours of being just kind of wandering around. So I'm kind of used to that kind of life. But now you can Zoom any second you want. You got your friends. You can play games online with them. You'll be with your family every day, talking to them face to face. Not the same, missing the hugs and all that. I get it. But the communication lines will be open. And again, that's part of adjusting and helping people out as much as we can.
So the numbers say that this team defends well in the clutch and against the top 10 teams. Have you seen that this
You
season?
don't believe in numbers, do you, Kelly? We're not a very analytic group here, so we don't. Do I believe in the numbers against better teams? Yeah, because they have our attention, and a lot of the mistakes that we make are either we just don't pay attention, we got bored, we try to outscore them. But when it comes down to, in past years, just take past years when Golden State came in here and we had to defend, most of our games were in the 90s. So we have the ability, and that does, I get frustrated because we don't do it all the time. It'd be nice if we're the number one defensive team coming into the playoffs and we have all this down, but that's not our nature. But our nature is to defend well when it's meaningful. So yeah, we'll try to tap into that. And a lot of that is the players. They got to gear up to be the best defensive team in Orlando. And we could do it. We'll see if we can. We'll see if we will.
And in camp, is that going to be the message, like because of the 8 games before the playoffs, that you guys already have to be in playoff mode? Is that going to be kind of the message there?
Well, yeah. I mean, with knowing that we'll ramp up a little bit. We'll see where the team is. I just want to make sure that we treat these 8 games with getting us to the ultimate goal of being super ready when the playoffs start. But at the same time, yeah, it's a message all the time, man. And it's hopefully you guys listen. And it's going to come down, like I said before, players are going to have to play great and make great decisions, and defensively and offensively, and who has the heart and soul and brains to be able to pull it off longer than the other group. That's what competition's all about. And I think we got a heck of a chance to do it.
Coach, how much do you appreciate the ability to be a part of bringing sports back after such a long, difficult few months, and maybe bring some positivity into a time that's just been so tough for a lot of Americans?
I think that's great. That's one thing about this job. That's probably, we have a big platform, and whether it's social injustice, whether it's advancing causes that helps the country, and if this can bring somebody a little joy and edginess in the sense of sports, great. That is what we do it for. I hope that's what we do it for. We are well compensated, but you know what? At the end of the day, if you can help somebody and help shape good views and help maybe people out of the miseries of life sometimes, that, yeah, that's what we should do. And it's more than satisfying.
I know you addressed this last week, but it's a week later. We have more data coming out of Florida and Central Florida. How would you describe your apprehension or your feelings about this endeavor and the safety of it? Or is it something that you're comfortable with, or is it something that we're all figuring out as we go?
So
How do you feel?
What's that? What are you, going from the frying pan to the frying pan? I mean, it's like, well, you're right. But, I don't have any apprehension. A lot of it is, I'll have my mask on. Everybody around me will have a mask on, or I won't be around them. That's one. Two, I won't be within 6 feet of anybody. And we have guys getting tested. And if you are personally responsible and do now, could it happen? Sure, it could happen. I could leave here, it could happen. But I have no apprehension because I know what I'll do to try to prevent it, knowing that it's not always, it's not 100%. And I know the NBA is going to try to do everything they can to avoid it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't have any apprehension at all. And again, it comes down, it's been 5 months of wearing a mask, staying away from people until we find a vaccine or at least antivirals to do something to help. But a lot of it falls on each individual.
Hey, Mike, 2 questions.
Hey, Ed.
First, will you coach with a mask on during games?
Right now, I would say yes. Everybody will wear a mask. The big thing is you wear a mask for the other people. If they really want to keep me safe, then everybody wear a mask, right? That's for me. Now, I do it for my players. I do it for my coaches. I do it for people that I care about. So I wear a mask, and that's what I do walking down the street here after a while, or going into a grocery store. I'm going to wear a mask. I don't understand the other reasoning behind not. Now, I don't think it'll interfere with my coaching. You can, it's just they can hear me. They know what I'm saying. If we'd have a problem, maybe we'll figure something out. But I don't think that's a problem. Referees won't be able to see my lips moving, so they won't know if I'm yelling at them or not. That's a plus. So I don't see the downside of it right now. Now maybe I'll change it once I get into the heat of the moment or whatever. But yeah, I think mask wearing will be appropriate, especially since the back of the bench, which are coaches, have to wear a mask. The front, they don't have to, but we've decided we're all in this together, and we're going to do it for the people sitting behind us, and the coaches, we're going to do it for our players. I don't want any of our players to be, that I'm the one that's spreading. So yeah, I'm going to wear a mask.
I know you addressed it last week, but could you discuss more about the time you spent over these past 3 months looking over some of those tweaks you mentioned? How do you come up or replace the vertical spacing that Clint had with a smaller team, especially when teams start packing the paint the way they do?
Well, they better not pack it too much, because we'll have all those shooters outside. If they're going to let us shoot 60, 73s, good. Our whole thing was that we were good the other way. I think this way we can be great, and to win a championship, you have to be great. So I thought we were really good. Love Clint. He's perfect. What we were doing, perfect. But the makeup of the team changed, and over the course of the 4 months or whatever to look at it, it was much more important to clear it out, that we could get, especially Russell, to the rim and make him very efficient, which he is. That was the thinking behind it. But then there's other things. Also James can get to the rim. And then, the difficulty is to find a vertical spacer, which we'd love to have. But we think we can do that with Daniel House. We can do that with Jeff Green. We can do it with a couple of our guys that we'll try to develop in this mini camp, that we'll try to get it better. But that's not more important than opening the court up, being able to switch everything. One thing that we are a team that is kind of weird in the sense that we have little guys that guard the post really well. So because of that, the weak point would be a big out on the perimeter that they just size up and go around. So we eliminated that by having 5 the same guy. So we just think defensively and offensively, we're better this way. And if it's not good enough, then it's not good enough. But I do think this is the best way to attack the playoffs and try to win a championship.
Daryl talked yesterday about having a second camp slightly favors you given the changes you guys made, fully integrating Robert Covington into what you're doing. You got a chance to see him with you for a while. What do you envision that on how that can work with Robert once you have more time with him in your system?
Well, Robert's going to be, he's great. He's a great player. Good. I love the way he fits with us perfectly. His defense, his rebounding is huge for us. He guards big guys, hits threes. And, you know, I have an inkling, I haven't seen a lot of it, but he hit big shots also, which is something you can't teach. So, no, I look at him hopefully in these 3 weeks, and then he'll be even more comfortable. I thought he's pretty comfortable anyway. Picked it up real quick. But we can expand a little bit the playbook. We can tweak things a little bit and have 3 weeks to, you know, the biggest thing about basketball, you cannot think and play. You have to react. It's got to be, you know, the good habits and it's got to be, you know, it's a grind to get it grounded into you that you react to everything, that the talking, the switching, even offensively, when to cut, when not to cut. People know where you are. So those will be things that we need in the next couple months to get down to have a legitimate shot.